that Corki is down, I think makes a lot of sense. Not going to have to worry about as much of that long-range poke coming out. And for top esports, you can go Zinzao plus Thresh like you did in the first game. Go for that Jinx pick later on, or you could just go for the Jinx pick right now. Again, I think it all comes down to how comfortable you are with your mid lane champion pool. With the fact that you do have Knight as your mid laner, I don't think it's too big of a deal to just index into your jungle and bot side in first rotation.
I love that Samira hover. Just to laugh at the conversation we had before the break. The idea of potentially locking the Samira against Aphelios immediately after we discuss how Aphelios can be beaten. I'm thinking this could be a Jay Zoe angle from Top Esports. I would love to see a Jay Zoe locked in. It is a bit early to be talking about that. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but I would love to see it. The Viego locked in. This is the same matchup we saw. I think it was game number 1 of the series. Just the other way around. The opposite players playing these champions. So we'll see how the reverse of this matchup goes. But I think support going to be necessary here for WWE.
And shouldn't be able to have the comfort to be able to go towards that Lulu once again. My guess, blind picking Lulu can be quite rough. We do still have the Thresh open. Thresh prio has definitely fallen off, and no, they do. They actually just feel comfortable enough to take this champion out straight away. I wonder for the side of TS if you just go back to the Thresh yourselves and say, hey, we're fine if Lulu does have certain ways of being an annoyance to Thresh with things like the Whimsy, or if you yourself want to opt into maybe another Enchanter support as well.
I will say, Nautilus has been a staple pick for Zhuo. If you think back to when he first joined the league, it was Nautilus and it was Alistair. These were the 2 picks that you thought of for Zhuo. So this is definitely comfort for him. Certainly ticks the box, hard engage, and a bit of protection there for Jinx as well. So we'll see how it's going to work in that bottom side. But we have matching picks. It means that the solo laners remain for each team, and the Rise banned away from Shanks this time.
I think we need to pay attention to what happens with Gragas in this fan phase. Do Top Esports just ban it out right now and say, hey, you're already setting up for this comp that has a lot of appeal, has the disengage to go along with it. BiuBiu's played 2 games of the Gragas. So I think Top Esports either ban it out here, and if they don't do that, which they didn't do, I wouldn't be too surprised if TS just decide to opt into the pick themselves.
This is where Top Esports now lock in the Gragas and play AP, full 369 style. To be honest, though, I actually think Zoom is the kind of player that is willing to play tanks, you know. I think Zoom is more than happy to go for a tank himself. We'll have to see what this last banner is going to be. It's the Graves, actually. But it's likely that mid will be the blind pick as opposed to that top lane. And this time, no LeBlanc shenanigans. They go for the Viktor.
So at least key learnings from their first game in terms of how they could have drafted differently. We already just hit on how Top Esports, if they didn't want BiuBiu to have a Gragas, probably should have looked to take it away themselves. They don't. I would expect for BiuBiu to lock this one in himself. Again, you're just adding more peel, more disengage for your Aphelios composition. Now for WE, you have Viktor on the opposite side. Right now they're hovering Orianna. This is the pick I would expect to come in with no Corki available. Is a champion that can just go even with the Viktor in lane. Viktor will, be a little bit annoying with those lasers coming out, but both champions should be able to just farm with less of an annoyance than the typical Corki matchup. Oh no.
Ooh,
let's go, Munchables.
Like
Shanks.
I like
Shanks being the one to pull out something aggressive. I think it doesn't fit their comp all too horribly with the fact that since we did talk about peel and disengage, LeBlanc does function a lot as a poke champion with the way that she weaves in and out, just supplementing that damage. So W, I think, very clear idea of how they want to play. And now for Top Esports, bringing out the Sett, their composition wanting to run full force and finding these engages. So they're gonna want to bring W into them, get on neutrals first, even try to find flanks with Zoom and get on top of Stay. Those will be the keys to success for TES.
I just love that we get to see the Sett for Zoom as well. This is just a classic. This is vintage Zoom right here. When Sett first came out, I think Zoom very quickly separated himself from the crowd.
And Sett means they will be able to dictate a lot of the fights that are happening. And for WE, it's about kiting them out and whittling them down before they can find those fights.
See if they're going to be able to actually get that damage in preemptively. That would be the big question. And so much of this series has been down to controlling River, right? When it comes to the neutral objectives, that's been where all of the fights have been going down. And I think WE, honestly, have been doing a really good job in this series of doing that. And even in game number 2, I think... Oh, wait, hang on. Shanks. Oh, you're in big trouble. Does get back over the wall, but whew, that felt dicier than it was. Still had his distortion, so doesn't have to flash. He gets away with it, but that could have been real bad. The point I was going to make...
Nice read by TS.
Sorry, go on. You go.
I was saying, Munchables, I'm sorry for taking away your thunder. But I was going to say, nice, right? They did this in game 1. They were the LeBlanc themselves on the side of top esports. They went for that distortion over the wall to find the ward. So they realized Shanks was going to go for this. Not able to find anything. It's not really going to impact the game. Shanks will still be getting to lane level 1. With Viktor here first, when minions are hitting, maybe it gives you a semblance more of control. But both teams trading vision on both sides. You're going to know starts. I would expect very standard full clears coming out once again, like we had in game 1. So not too much action to expect in the first few minutes.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little about game 1 as well, because it feels like WE were very intelligent in game number 1 in the way that they played the map, in the way that they set up objectives. And then game number 2, you know, they had that moment where they just started Baron, and I feel like that was actually just them acknowledging the situation they were in the game. It feels like this WE is becoming quite a cerebral team, which is not the historic view of WE. This is not the view of WE that they nurtured for themselves back in 2020, you know. I'm kind of excited to discover more from this team over the course of this year. I'm genuinely really interested in how this series ends now for WE, on whether or not they can keep up this somewhat intelligent play.
And it just makes sense, right? A completely new team, BiuBiu coming over from BLG. BiuBiu, of course, as we talked, many years sitting as a sub under SOFM. Stay coming up from LDL, Kedaya from LNG. So this will be WE's time to forge a new identity. For TES, they're keeping their identity tried and true, being strong in the laning phase. Right now we see Knight Viktor, in terms of just isolated 1v1, is super strong. Your Q at level 1, I mean, the amount of damage plus the shield makes it very hard for enemy laners like LeBlanc to be able to trade back. Get yourself set up at level 1 to be able to trade aggressively at level 3 with your laser. And all 3 lanes having prio, we're going to see if you is able to find a gank, or actually might just steal away the Krugs.
Yeah, moving up towards that top side. You can see Xiaopeng on the top side as well, though. He's moving up to the river. Be able to grab himself the Scuttle Crab at very least. We could have a bit of a topside 2v2 at this point. A topside tussle, if you will. So the crab will go down. BiuBiu, I don't think, has vision either. I'm not sure either jungler knows exactly where the other is right now. Xiaopeng will be able to get the double scuttle off the back of this one as BiuBiu walks away with the Krugs. Doesn't find an angle to go in on the top lane, and has now been spotted on that top side of the map.
So I think what Xiaopeng did was pretty smart, because remember, both teams warded at level 1. So they knew BiuBiu pathing towards that top side. Xiaopeng preemptively saying, hey, I'll save Wolves for later. I'm going to go take away the Scuttle Crab, make sure he doesn't get it. If he's here, we can look for a fight, because Knight was winning so heavily in mid. And even Zoom, when Xiaopeng started moving up, had pressure. So make sure he can take away those Scuttle Crabs. We need to remember it doesn't mean as much anymore, because the XP of level 1 Scuttle Crabs was nerfed quite heavily, but still finding ways to find small advantages over BiuBiu. Though we did lose out on Krugs, so we'll see if Xiaopeng can steal away the enemy Krugs.
And you can see in the bottom lane as well, Zhuo trading his health essentially for priority, right? While JackeyLove hits away at those minions, make sure that they can crash this wave. Because Xiaopeng is down in this bottom lane as well, taking those Krugs. So they need to make sure the WE bot lane is stuck there. But Xiaopeng now going to be alone as he jumps onto Kedaya. That's going to be a slow coming through. A knockup is there. And a flash forced by top esports. Nicely done here. Try and clear away some of these wards, but the Gravitum in play doesn't have mana. Stay completely so he can't.
And for the side of TES, I think it's fine, because Xiaopeng was going to back off anyway, so Stay not able to follow up. I don't know if they would have been able to secure the kill anyway, with the fact that JackeyLove did have those flame chompers there. They were flashing very aggressively, and that would have been a bit of a flippy play that could have gone either way. When we look in terms of the map holistically, Zoom bringing out this counter pick, bringing out this pick that he was so well known for in 2020, completely dominating the matchup. And even Knight has just been doing such a great job of maintaining pressure mid, but I don't care about mid right now much. We might get a skirmishing bot.
BiuBiu being big trouble. But actually, it might be Zhuo that's in trouble. Has to flash away, keeps himself alive though. And the flame choppers are huge. Only going to get one route here, but the follow-up is massive from top esports. That'll be one. And now resets for JackeyLove. Traded back though as Shanks goes in for the play. Still has his splash available. Zhuo misses the hook, but he still gets onto Kedaya. But the white weapon is going strong. The shuriken's booming as Zhuo pulls him in, but goes down himself. Stay taking over the fight.
Stay just completely untouched in that skirmish, being allowed to deal damage for free. Huge fight win going over to the side of WE. We're going to go straight into the replay and see how it happened. WE being the aggressors, looking for the fade into the enemy jungle, realizing they just forced the spot lane away, instantly getting on Zhuo, forcing the flash out. Huge flame choppers with JackeyLove to make sure they secure this first kill. Knight even doing a nice job of following up. Shanks, though, on the assassin, does bring more early burst than his counterpart does. Zhuo also missing the hook, so it does delay the CC, delay the damage to follow up. Like we said, Stay pretty much allowed to enact his will the whole time. Both able to get away, both sides picking up some kills, so the game state not going to flip heavily in one way or another.
Yeah, and it felt like Stay managing to just free fire with the crescendo there for a good while. Definitely a huge influence in that fight, but with Kedaya going down as well, still relatively even. As you say, we're almost neck and neck in gold off the back of all of that, so feels like action pretty much out of nowhere, right? Off of the back of an invade from Viu. It's not like Dragon was up or anything at that point. Like, nobody's taken a Dragon off the back of it either because we had so many casualties on both sides. It feels like we've had a bit of a tussle and we reset to exactly where we were before.
And where we were before was pharmacy, but one difference this time. That Rift Herald is coming up in 30 seconds. And we love the Rift Herald because you know what it means? Whichever team is pushing bot is going to push that in. They're going to move first. Zoom has pressure on top side, so you would assume for TES they should be able to get that one. But WE trying to stop this from happening. Viu leaning down towards spot, not allowing for JackeyLove and Zhuo to find that push, and this opens up for Kedaya and Stay to move first. So nice adaptation from Viu to make sure that their bot lane is prio. This isn't just a free Herald for the side of top esports.
Yeah, but now moving up towards that top side of the map to try and set up for the Herald. But if the rest of this series is anything to go by, neither of these teams is going to give Herald up without a fight. This time around, JackeyLove is moving in time. We saw him move late earlier on in the series. This time he'll be here with his team. TP comes through into that mid lane as well from BiuBiu. Shanks looking for a pick onto Knight. Step too far forward. The ethereal chains will lock him up in a cast to finish it off as Stay. Grabbing himself some kill credit. It's a huge pick for WE, and surely it's a Herald with a bow on top.
Big mistake coming out from Knight, aggressively walking forward. You look at vision. WE had full control over the topside river. You don't necessarily know if they're already on Rift Herald or not. Go for the cheeky brush play. No flash on Knight from the prior skirmish spot. Sets up for the pick to come out, and this is going to be a free Rift Herald for the side of WE. Good thing for the side of TES, Munch, is the fact that the other members pivot down bot to be able to get the Dragon.
Yeah, so at least they can trade an objective here, but again, WE really smart with the way that they're playing the map. That's the thing that I'm taking away from the series, honestly, is that WE, this is a team that gets how to play macro. As you say, Viu moving to the bot side, getting prio. I'm going to hold that thought because Zoom is being real sneaky here. He's just cancelled his recall. He's an alcove gamer, to say the very least. Knight is moving up. Shanks is off in the wings as well. This is still an outnumber in favor of WE, but with Zoom behind enemy lines, he can go for the play underneath the tower. Viu having to use that ulti, the wild growth, keeping him alive for the time being, but he's pulled back under the tower and finished off. A great pickup here from top esports, and Secret Age Zoom setting it all up for you.
The power of patience, Munch. You would never assume someone is crazy enough, someone willing to risk losing so much time to just sit in an alcove for a full minute. Zoom is that man, though. The big brain that you were hitting on, I think it was in game 1 or game 2, I don't know. We always talk about Zoom's big brain, so it all blends together. Nice by TS to be able to find some gold back. Still, though, WE have cemented a bit of a lead for themselves with the kills that they've picked up so far, and they are still sitting on the Rift Herald as well. So for WE, you'd expect more to come out. I think this time around, it does make sense to put that gold onto your Aphelios. The only logic I could see otherwise would be them going, hey, there's a Viktor Jinx on the opposite side. Let's try and break down mid lane turret because it could be extremely annoying if we don't do it now.
Certainly have a lot of way played. And I mean, there's not that much to explain. I don't know why Stay Flash. But yeah, why did Stay Flash actually? He just flashed pretty much on the spot. Great ult from Zoom there, great positioning, great play, great presence of mind. Zhuo tries to stop Kedaya, taking away some of these wards. Herald going to be dropped in this top lane, and that will be the first tower of the game taken by WE. And once again, massive amounts of gold being just slammed straight into Stay's pocket. It's 2-0 and 2. That's a tower going down right next to him as well. This is fantastic news for WE. This is a fantastic position for them to be in.
Especially when you consider the fact that WE are the comp that have the LeBlanc against the Viktor. So longer side lanes can enable more of those pick situations to come out, to force Viktor out of lane, to maybe blow summoners if you can land one of your chains. So WE definitely feeling good about having one of those longer lanes. The silver lining for TS is in terms of side laners. Sett definitely will win at all points in time against the Gragas. We saw in game 1, actually even game 2, how this Gragas wants to function. It's just all about giving up sides, grouping with your team, using that cast either aggressively or peeling for your AD carry. So we're keeping our eye on Shanks for the side of WE, Zoom for the side of Top Esports.
I'm always keeping my eyes on Zoom. That giant brain. I just can't keep my eyes off of it. The proverbial brain. Because I can't actually see his brain. Not without an X-ray. I don't think an X-ray can see brains. But there is some kind of brain scan that you can do that gives you a look at someone's brain. And I'd like to see that for Zoom, because I think we would see great lane control on that scan. I don't know where I'm going with this one.
I don't know.
You know what?
You're kind of leaning into Hysterics territory right now.
I know. It's because I'm casting with you. I feel like I've got it. You know, there's like there's a role to be filled here. I need to just talk absolute nonsense. Apparently. Here we go. Hook in the bottom lane. Flame Choppers comes in. There's a knock-up from the depth charge. That is playing Lulu, you see. So no matter what they do, they still can't get a kill.
They are able to force summoners coming out, though, right? We get a heal off of Stay. You have 2 ultis down. Dragon up in 1 minute, so I think getting these key summoners now can be critical for being able to win that fight later on. I don't think Top Esports should keep pushing the issues. It looks like they're finally going to back off because Shanks was not showing in lane. And now I think resets come out. We're going to start seeing teams grouping up towards that bottom side once again for Dragon. And now we're going to see, hey, no Moonlight Vigil, no Wild Growth coming out. Can TS utilize this to find a fight?
That'll be one of the big questions. Importantly, Knight not finishing a Mythic just yet could be huge. You know, Shanks hasn't either, but I feel like Viktor is one of those champions that pre-Mythic feels pretty normal. Whereas LeBlanc, you can still just execute. Recall will come on through here from Shanks. Does have TP before the straight comes back up onto the map, but has to cancel that recall because Knight is staying. And I guess just waiting for this next wave. Going to try and push this one in before the recall, but it's 8 seconds until that dragon comes up. It doesn't feel like either team is really posturing directly for that to happen right now.
No, both teams taking it slow. I think for WE, it's the fact that your mid laner needs to recall with how heavily he was chunked. We do see both top laners making their way down now. So both teams kind of handshake of like, hey, we're not ready yet. Let's all reset. We don't need to waste TPs on our top laners. We can all just walk down. Mid laners, though, did reset too late. Going to start making their way over. Oh, Shanks might be in a bad position. Doesn't get caught out. And Top Esports having first push on mid should be able to force their way into River.
Certainly should. That'll be the cannon taken. Zoom and Knight moving over as a pair. Xiaopeng already in the river alongside Zhuo here. Stay! I don't know why you think you need to face check that one, but you are not the tank on this team. Wards being cleared as Zoom moves in, looking for an engage for the rest of the team. This will be a great opportunity to start the Drake off on the side of Top Esports. Stay has no summoner spells, and yes, he's got red and white weapons, but it's going to be difficult for him to get into this one. Cask is a bit of a whiff. But that's Smite! How does Mew get away with that? Ults away as well. Depth charge. Gonna knock Stay up. Gale Force having to be used just to survive from the side of Stay. They will be able to get away with the heist of the century. Honestly, I don't know how Mew got away with that.
I mean, in terms of smites, BiuBiu has been completely destroying Xiaopeng today. And you look at the setup for that fight. You just pushed it mid, you have complete river control, AD carry just face checks, now it's no flash. Like, literally, stays no summoners. On the opposite side, there is a Zhao and a Sett with flash. If he walks too far forward at any point, he is just dead. And somehow, people aren't really getting zoned away. BiuBiu able to walk forward and just smite away a dragon. It doesn't need to make sense much.
Yeah, I know. I mean, at the end of the day, this series was never going to make sense, and I'm okay with that. I feel like this top esports squad has a lot of figuring out. You know, this is a team that I think, oh, Shanks in trouble, Xiaopeng gonna chase him over the wall, but it does land. I feel like a lot of people put these guys very high on their tier list, very high in the power rankings. Right now, this team has no idea what it wants to do. This team has no idea what its identity is, aside from let's all just do stuff. And it feels very, very rough. Whereas WE, even though they're newer players, they may not have the superstar lineup that top esports has. It feels like they know what they want to do. They know how they want to play the game. And it means that they're honestly looking like the better team.
Oh, I think 100%. For TES, it's surprising with the changes they made for them to end up worse than they were in summer, but Engage comes out!
Maybe not! Stay's been found, Wild Growth keep him alive. That's going to be 3-man Moonlight Vigil with a Gravitum. Stay is completely fine. Don't worry about it, guys. He's got a Lulu.
And it's just so tragic, right? Because there's an enemy AD carry with no summoners up. You have flash on Sett, you have flash on Zhao, like we just highlighted, and you're still not able to finish him off. Heck, he's already pretty much back to full HP and comfortably farming in the mid lane. TS not being able to find that first effectively. You highlighted Lulu doing so much with that ultimate able to come out. And you know, Mushrooms, I stand by my statement. It's only been a few series so far, but the fact that TS are looking worse now, though it is the beginning of a split, than they did when they didn't make it to Worlds last year, kind of rough. And as someone who put them first in their power rankings, very disappointing.
Yeah. I will say, gotta wait till Chinese New Year, right, to make any giant judgments on any team. Generally speaking, the league changes pretty dramatically over the 2 weeks of Chinese New Year, and a lot of teams start to figure things out in the scrims during that time. But with that said, it's not a good starting point for top esports this split. There is Shanks actually going to go under the tower here, taking a huge amount of damage. Gaston just going to chase him away from the play entirely. And Zoom looks like he wants a little bit more. Shanks, oh, that was his clone. I was looking at the top side of the fight, and I thought he'd just like DC'd or something. He's okay. 25 gold the way of Zoom, though. I'd say that's worth the teleport. 25G. But
25 Gs. And luckily, man, we're in game 3. There's some level of tension going on, I'm sure. And both teams are even. Gold's even. Dragons are even. Kills pretty close. I'd even say in terms of like fight setup and win conditions, I don't think I lean super heavily one way or the other. Top esports obviously now forcing Prio in mid with Knight TPing in. They're going to get a tower off this. But WD have shown they have a really good set for fights, and they have a lot of ways to keep Stay alive with the Lulu and with all the zoning tools they have in their top side.
yeah, it does feel like a lot of this is going to come down to teamfight execution. As we said before, both of these teams drafting to play the team, drafting for these competitions that do want to group up and brawl. And let's be honest, both squads have been more than just start an objective off whenever they fancy, with no regard to whether opponent is on the map. So we are going to get fights, no matter. It is happening, I guarantee you. So we'll have to wait and see which team's going to be able to pull it out on top. So far, as you said, pretty much even in gold. And I think the majority of people just by default on face value of the names on the rosters, most people. But over the course of this series, I'm leaning more and more towards WE.
WE have shown they are willing to tussle with the best, and BiuBiu looking for another cask, and once again, not the best, but hey, again, he's very liberal with his cask usage. It'll be up again at some point. He'll throw it out. He will hit a key target at some point. They are at least forcing TS away.
Oh no, he's got way too far forward. He just gets one shot, and now the rest of the team's in so much trouble. Wako's already on cooldown. Kedaya goes down. The resets for JackeyLove. And everybody just getting wrecked here from WE. BiuBiu steps way too far forwards. And well, Baron's already on the cards. They've got a Jinx. They've got a Viktor. Top Esports go for the worm.
And instantly it becomes very clear why Top Esports didn't ban or take away the Gragas, like I predicted. BiuBiu coming in, not finding the best of engages, not finding the best of counts. Again, his philosophy, I respect it. If you just keep throwing them out, you're going to hit a key target at one point like you did in the last game. But still, sets it up, goes too far forward, setting up Zhuo for that hook, and now the Baron coming out like you said. WE may be able to get a turret in bot side as well, but doesn't feel like that makes too big of a difference.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That fight has soured my view of WE. I don't know why he walks up there. And then JackeyLove was just
Yeah, JackeyLove. It's strange, right? You force them out of bot side river. You can tell they're scared because TS were angling for top side, so maybe they were threatening like, hey, you push us out of here, but we're gonna go do Baron so you can't do Dragon and do this bit of a dance. But like you're saying, BiuBiu overcommitting just a little bit too much, even in terms of WE setup, right? I feel like it is very crucial that Shanks is able to land a decent amount of damage or force out some summoners with the chain before you do directly posture for a fight like that. So we need to see Shanks having a bit more of a proactive role. We see BiuBiu not messing things up. Straight to the point.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. We need to see them not just walking into the enemy. Have their ulti. That is a good observation. We've got a 3,000 gold lead. We were dead even just a second ago. And off the back of that fight, it's now a 3,000 gold lead with a Baron in favor of Top Esports. And they may be able to win fights, but Lyric, they're not that great at them. Trying to give that one over to Knight, but it resets as they're going for it. They will eventually finish this one off. They got the tier 1 in the top side, and now look for a tier 2 on top of that one as well. Do have the Jinx with 2 items, so pretty quick on the towers, but BiuBiu is up behind the squad. Stay chunked pretty heavily there. BiuBiu, you've got to be a little careful, mate. We've just seen what happens if you go too deep by yourself. It's going to be BiuBiu starting to stop Zhuo. Flashes away, uses ulti. Shanks finishing the kill, beautifully done. But look at the damage out from Knight as well. The Chaos Storm burning everyone on that squad. BiuBiu being chased, the laser underneath it. Rocket is blocked by BiuBiu though. Oh, if BiuBiu doesn't get hit by that, that could have been like a triple kill on a Rocket. But it doesn't matter, because in the meantime, Zoom is pushing mid. That was 4v5. And now Top Esports will blast this base over.
The Chaos Storm just means so much when an enemy's funneling into you. Oh, they're getting caught again!
This might be the end of the game if Top Esports can win it, but JackeyLove's already down. Zoom in though, slams Aphelios onto his face, and Kedaya takes a haymaker to the dome. It's going to be 2 more kills for the top laner of Top Esports. Will at least be a top lane inhibitor.
I would expect they do need to back off after this one. You know what? I don't want to break these down. A replay is going to come up. We need to give credit where credit is due. We all need to appreciate my analyst, Mr. Joe Munchables Fenny. He said in the last game how this series will go. Game 1, TS lose. Game 2, they come back with a win. Game 3 will be the messy one, but you know in the end, the Top Esports will somehow pull through because that is typically what happens. Munch, you nailed it. I should probably break down this replay, but take it away, brother.
Oh, well, there was a group, and then you hit the abilities. Shanks took the kill. And then Knight just one-shot everyone. Like, I'm not entirely sure where all of that damage came from, honestly, but literally everyone suddenly from WE was 1 HP. If that rocket hits, if BiuBiu dies just a little quicker there, I think that would have just been an instant triple kill for JackeyLove. It's kind of gutting for the guy, because that would have been such a good kill.
And that could have been the end of the game. A little bit more damage coming out from the side of TES. They are able to get an inhibitor out of it, though, as well as it being a topside inhibitor, which is pretty cool because it's going to be a lot more pressure on the side of WE when dragons do come up, which will be in 1 minute. So WE going to need to keep BiuBiu up towards that top side clearing so it doesn't get too far pushed into their own base. He has pushed it to the side, Top Esports side of the map now, so they shouldn't have to worry about it too much. But it is opening up Resume to threaten this bot lane turret and has allowed for Top Esports to get full vision control of bot side. Luckily, though, we're not close to Soul Munch, so let's be real. Dragon probably not going to mean too much.
I don't think this dragon's going to be taken at all. I think top esports is just going to brute force a fight and maybe just put them in the spot. It's possible they don't. BiuBiu is currently in the top lane. He's just finished the recall now. Shanks. Banshees on Zhuo's passive here. His view looks for a stun. Did hit JackeyLove, but there's no follow from his squad right now. I think Shanks stuff was still on cooldown as he messes his W up a little bit. One thing I will say, Shanks is getting some good poke out onto this team. They don't have a whole lot of sustain to work with. So he's trying to maintain vision control in this choke point. And this is going to be a long siege. This is a battle of attrition.
It is. We did highlight, though, that Shanks is the critical member on the side of WE, right? Playing with Fog of War, going in and out, chunking these health bars, though, trying to make it a 4v5. Problem is, damage gap is pretty big at this point, but Engage comes out!
Underneath the tower, great ulti from BiuBiu, but the damage is just huge. Knight flashing underneath to finish them off. Biu chased away, rocketed down by JackeyLove, but he can't quite finish the kill. Oh, he dies to the burn anyway. Red Buff finishes that one off. And top esports, they dive the inhib, they don't lose a single player, and after such a messy series, it's looking like they're going to finish in style. JackeyLove having a great game to round things out, despite having some questionable moments across it. JackeyLove will survive, even from the last play from Shanks at the end of this one. The stun comes in onto Kedaya. Actually, managed to survive that one. The laser's not enough, but it does not matter. Top esports, at the end of the day, take the win. WE, once more, they get so close, but they just can't find the win.
We did see some good things from WE. We saw some growth. We talked about the game once, some of the macro movements they made in terms of trading off for the mid lane, using out the Realm Ward. I feel like in terms of individual skill, Shanks still showing up pretty well. View overall, Smite king in this series. You know, maybe BiuBiu and Stay especially still have some key areas to improve. But pulling this, I think good takeaways for a very young squad on the side